Ready, set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 15 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tavon Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
Leave no doubt tonight. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast, June 3rd edition, and another day, another WVU football recruiting updates. Seems to be the theme of the week and likely could be the theme of the summer, as we got a ton of prospects visiting throughout this month that we talked about in the previous stream. We've got camps coming throughout this month, so definitely going to be talking a ton of recruiting throughout the month of June, but really excited to do so, especially when we have awesome updates like the one we got to talk about today, because you guys know we've talked in the past about West Virginia really swinging for the fences here with this new staff that Rich Rod has here in the Rich Rod 2.0 era, here in the 2026 class, beyond as well. But right now in 2026, we got to talk about a big-time prospect that West Virginia is throwing their hat into the ring to get into the mix for. And, of course, he's a guy with 20-plus offers, really highly sought after in the 2026 class. So can't wait to talk about him, show you guys his game a little bit because he is blazing fast, will be an awesome fit at the receiver position for Rich Rod. But, man, it's going to be some tough competition. But the fact that West Virginia is involved and maybe even heavily involved, according to reports, is really exciting. So we'll talk about that. That's kind of one of the main things that I wanted to do the show about here today. But other than that, I do have some other little recruiting news and notes. One of the visitors is upcoming in these upcoming visit windows that we talked about in the previous stream has announced West Virginia as one of his top final choices. We'll talk a little bit about him. And then how many times have I said it? My favorite commit thus far in the 2026 class, Jett Walker, the running back. He's going to move up the recruiting rankings. It's already starting to happen already before his senior season even begins. So just wait till that happens. I'm really excited about him, and we do got a little bit of update on him and his recruiting rankings that he put out on social media. And then lastly, at the tail end of the show, I do have a small little WVU basketball transfer portal update as a former Mountaineer has announced his destination as to where he's transferring to. So we'll hit on that before we wrap up. But that's kind of what's on the docket for today's show. Appreciate you guys that are here watching live, whether you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Those of you that are on Facebook or Twitch, be sure to come over to the YouTube channel, subscribe here so you get the pre-recorded videos, podcast episodes we put out to keep you up to date with the WVU basketball and football news here on YouTube. And if you watch on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, whether you're watching live or on the playback. That helps a ton with the YouTube algorithm. If you're in here live, you can throw your questions, comments in the chat there. I'll get to those throughout the stream as well. But if you're watching after the fact, you can throw them in the comment section. Appreciate those interactions. With that being said, I won't keep you guys waiting too much. Let's dive in right away talking about the topic of the stream. You saw him on the thumbnail. You see him in the title. A blazing fast 4-star wide receiver, listed as an athlete by some recruiting services, but going to probably be a wide receiver. And not only is he blazing fast, but highly rated and highly sought after by some of the top programs in the country. Was committed to an SEC program, now back on the market, and West Virginia is getting into the mix for him. So let's talk a little bit about Zion Legree here. Let's pull this up here first, highlighting, of course, why he's kind of available yet again. And this was from Hayes Fawcett here, class of 2026 athlete, Zion Legree has decommitted from Ole Miss. As we said, the SEC program he was committed to there. On3 reported this. I believe this was just recently this came out. 6'1", 200-pound athlete out of Pensacola, Florida. Been committed to Ole Miss since November. Currently holds a total of 22 offers, and it is an impressive offer list. We'll showcase it momentarily. But one of the top players in Florida, and guess what else? One of the fastest players in Florida. And if you're one of the fastest players in the state of Florida as a high schooler, you're one of the fastest recruits in the country. And I think he's one of the faster athletes in this class, one of the faster receivers. So let's pull this up here. Let's take a look at his recruiting profiles. Like I said, highly sought after. Here he is on 247, listed as an athlete, 6'1", 190, Niceville, Florida, Niceville High School, class 26, of course. So, right at 200 pounds, 86 graded, 3-star, top 100 player in the state of Florida, top 75 player in the state of Florida in the composite. And like I said, you know how many good players come out of Florida. Top 40 athlete in the country, according to the 247 composite, and a top 80 athlete nationally, according to the regular rating there. So you see how highly regarded he is. But look at this. This is what's impressive. Of course, he was committed to the SEC there at Ole Miss. Oh, what happened here? Lost my screen. Hold on a second, guys. Whoop. I think my monitor came unplugged. Sorry about that, guys. It just went black on me. I was like, what happened? But okay, we're back here. Sorry about that. My monitor went haywire there for a second. Okay, so here we are. Wisconsin, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Illinois, Kentucky, Memphis, Miami, Mississippi State, Missouri, Notre Dame, of course, Ole Miss, where he was committed, UCF, Washington, USF, and of course, I didn't name. That's not even naming all of them, and those are offers, guys. That's not just interest. You can see here the offer box checked there on 247 for Zion Legree. So that's how highly sought after he is. So it's going to be some stiff competition, but West Virginia, I think, always has a chance. That's one thing we've talked about with this staff when we've been talking about these recruiting updates is let's not forget some of the big prospects they landed the first time they were here, and that's why you see them swinging for the fences for some really talented 2026 recruits. We saw his 247 profile. Let's just pull it up on Rivals just to confirm because he's even more high rated on Rivals. Then I'll show you guys why. We'll take a look at some of his plays there from his junior season there in Florida. But 6'1", 195. So, we've seen him 6'1", 200, 6'1", 190, 6'1", 195. So right at, 6'1", 200-pound range, probably will be at that by the time he gets to college and maybe even be 6'2" at that point. You never know. But they received the 22 total offers listed on Rivals as well. You see a 4-star rating there from both, a 4-star rating from Rivals, 3-star rating on the 247 site, but a high 3-star rating. I wouldn't be surprised to see him bounce up to a 4-star there in the near future, especially with the offer list that he has. But he is a 4-star with nearly a 6.0 rating at Rivals, and he's in their Rivals 250, actually, one of the top 250 players in the entire 2026 recruiting class, according to Rivals, a top 30 player in the state of Florida, and a top 30 athlete, or top 30 wide receiver, according to Rivals. They actually have him listed at the wide receiver position, which is what he's expected to play. So top 30 receiver on Rivals, top 30 in the state of Florida, which is a very good state for football. And of course, a top 250 player in the nation is big to be in the Rivals 250 and be there at 220, and a 4-star recruit that has blazing speed, guys. And I'm going to showcase that for you guys. Let's pull up a little bit of his huddle tape here, showcase you guys a few plays from this. I'll try and link it in the video description after the fact so you guys can check out the full thing. But we'll show you guys a few plays here just so you can see kind of the speed that we're talking about here with Zion Legree. So, all right, let's check this out here. He'll be highlighted on this first play. I think he's in the slot here on this first one we'll look at. And you're going to see, man, he's so fast. It looks like he's not even running full sprint here. It's like he's almost jogging, and he's just burning everyone that easily. And in the state of Florida, doing that is nothing to, thumb your nose up at. So really excited about this guy, what his future could be in college football. I think he's going to be a star. So would love to see West Virginia have a chance at him. But here is a little bit of what I'm talking about. So there you see him circled on the play. Just a simple, kind of fakes a pick route there. Fakes like he's going to screen block for that guy and then hits a wheel route and he is gone. No one is near him. And that's kind of the theme of his few highlights here. We'll look at here. He is in the slot again on the other side. Exact same play, to be quite honest. And on that wheel route, no one is near him. There's they ran that into the boundary on that side. And then look just down the field. Just barely jogging and no one's near him right there. Here he is on the outside here. So we get a look at him in the slot, get a look at him on the outside. You know, if he continues to grow, he could end up playing the outside receiver. And what I like about that one is it's just a simple hitch route, makes a man miss, and then forget about it. No one is catching this guy. Those wheels are insane. And here I like this one because look where he's lined up on this one. Highlighted, he's in the backfield here. So obviously in high school, you know, maybe that's why he's listed as an athlete because they probably utilize him in the backfield some. And with the speed he has, he's the type of player that you just want to get the ball into his hands and get him in space in any way that you can, especially at the high school level. You know, here at college, we'll have to probably more perfect, you know, the wide receiver things, you know, aspects of the game, but he does have, you know, kind of a natural ability. That's why he's so highly regarded and got these offers. But look at him here, even lining up in the backfield, taking this handoff. And this last play we'll look at from his highlights. The rest of them you guys can check out for yourself, but just check it out here. Zion Legree, guy tries to ankle tackle him. That's not happened. Reads the blocks perfectly, cuts inside the blocks, gets outside the blocks, and finds his way to the end zone. Once he gets that outside cut, forget about it. He's heading to the end zone. So super excited about him, man, and what his future could be. West Virginia in the mix, throwing their hat in the ring. You know, it's been reported previously, but not only that, according to some sources here, which if I can find the tweet here, I had it pulled up initially. I believe this is from Baum actually reporting this, but they say it's coming directly from Zion Legree himself. The 4-star wide receiver has informed them that he will visit WVU this upcoming weekend. So not only is West Virginia getting into the mix for a guy that has, you know, 22 plus offers. We saw the list there. We saw some of the highlights, one of the best receivers in the 2026 class, but he's visiting WVU, guys. That's big that we're getting a visit here after his decommitment from Ole Miss, according to Vom here, which it makes it even more exciting for me. And that's what really, you know, was kind of the catalyst. Like, okay, we got to talk about this if he's going to be visiting, and West Virginia's in the mix here. As my monitor comes unplugged again. Am I hitting the cord here? Hold on, let me check that. Sorry about that, guys. I think my foot was hitting the cord on the monitor there. But what also excites you here, and, you know, just to confirm the blazing fast claims that I'm talking about with him, I think the highlights did it justice for themselves. But even in the tweets here from Baum, clocked at 4.35 in the 40. That's how fast Zion Legree is, nicknamed Bean. So Bean Legree, one of the top 2026 recruits West Virginia's in the mix for. Definitely was one of the main reasons I wanted to do this video and do another recruiting update, but we do have some other 2026 prospects to talk about. Let's talk about one of those that West Virginia is in the mix for. We talked about him yesterday when we went through the 30 plus players that are visiting throughout the month of June, and that's Adrian Hamilton. Shout out to Jonathan Martin for sharing this on social media. Shout out to my guy Matthew, Mountaineers Headline, who also sent it to me. But he's narrowed it down to a top 5 list. He's visiting WVU, I believe, the second week of June. I think it's in that June 13th to 15th window that we talked about in yesterday's update. But he set his commitment date to July 5th, and his final 5 schools are Michigan State, Virginia, Spit, VPI, and WVU. Of course, hopefully he picks the good guys there. West Virginia involved in the top 5, and he's, of course, visiting in just, a matter of days, and then committing in just about a month away from now. So from the time I'm doing the stream here anyway. So pull up a little bit of information on him to get to know him a little bit further. 6'3", 285-pound interior offensive lineman is what he's listed at on Rivals from Washington, D.C., so, getting one of them DMV recruits. The Future Cast has him tied between Pitt and WV. Seems like they feel like that those are the top 2 suitors for Adrian Hamilton, the offensive lineman, rated as a 3-star, 5.5 grade here on Rivals. There's Adrian Hamilton there. And then on 247, let's get a look at his profile there on that one. As West Virginia is in the top 5, this could be a future Mountaineer we're talking about here. Let's hopefully say that is the case here a month from now. I would love for that to be the case. 6'3", 290-pound interior offensive lineman there on 247, and they rate him as a top 5 prospect in the entire state. There, he's coming from DC there, so top 5 prospect in DC, top 4 according to the regular, top 5 in the composite. So another high-rated target. Yet again, West Virginia swinging for the fences. And I know because some people will see a lot of these guys that we've talked about, and they'll say, oh, no, they're only a 3-star, or they're only, whatever, or they're a 3-star on one side, they're 4-star on another. But here's what I told you guys, and I'll say it again just to repeat it here. I've talked about it in the previous recruiting updates. But one better thing to judge it by is who else is after him. And you saw the final 5 there for Adrian Hamilton, Power Conference schools. And you see here, where do they rank in their state? He is one of the top players there. top 5 to be exact. And also nationally, he's a top 80 interior offensive lineman in the composite and a top 65 interior offensive lineman on 247 in the regular ranks there. So in a very high rated 3-star, borderline 4-star here. And let's not forget, this isn't over. These guys have to play their senior season. Some of them can move up the recruiting rankings. And that's what the next thing I want to talk about here with these 2026 updates is a guy that is 100% going to do that. I've been claiming that for a while now, and it's already starting to happen before their senior season even begins. So let's talk about him. Been my self-proclaimed favorite commit of the 2026 class thus far, which I'll give you guys an update on who we have locked into that 2026 class one more time since we're talking 2026 recruits here in the front half of this show. But Jett Walker shared on social media, thanks to Rivals for ranking him as a top 40 running back in the entire 2026 class now, and the number 6 running back in the state of Texas. And there you see him right now, still a 3-star, but I'm telling you, once that senior season rolls around, I would be absolutely shocked if Jett Walker doesn't move up to a 4-star recruit. Hopefully West Virginia is able to keep him, locked in as a committed to the Mountaineers and sign him once December rolls around, because I think other programs are going to come calling, because I think he is going to move up those rankings. You guys saw me clamor, and wax poetic about him when we first showcased his highlights when he first committed to the Mountaineers. Really, good size running back that has a great blend of size and speed and is that perfect fit for what Rich Rod does here in this scheme. So I'm excited about him. But I'm excited about this 2026 class in general because of the commits that we have already and a lot of the guys that we've talked about on these streams over the past 2 or 3 days where we've been covering this WVU recruiting, which we'll continue to do here throughout the summer. So be sure you're subscribed here to the channel to keep up to date with the recruiting updates for WVU football. And of course, transfer portal updates still rolling around on the basketball side. Do have a brief one of those here at the tail end of the stream, which we'll get to. Appreciate you guys tuning in here. But as far as what West Virginia has in the 2026 class thus far, just as a reminder, a refresher, tight end Sam Hamilton out of Ohio, running back Jett Walker, who I just highlighted a little bit there out of Texas, 6'2", 215 pounds, and the guy is an absolute monster. I mean, some of the stats that he's put up is crazy. If you go look at his numbers, as well as the highlights that we shared on his commitment video, check that out. Also, QB Jaron Hughley out of Florida, 1 QB in this class. West Virginia believed to take another one, and we've talked about the number 1 guy on my wish list of the remaining targets being Legend Bay, the other quarterback that I hope they get in this 2026 class. But Jaron Hughley, a good addition already of his own. West Virginia legacy guy there, nephew of Jawan Sider. Then we got Emery Snyder, a big defensive back out of Oklahoma, 6'4", 205. Same goes for Taj Powell, 6'3", 200 out of Ohio. And he's the brother of Jonathan Powell, former WVU Hoops player now playing for UNC. And then most recent commit has been Cam Bam Bam Dwyer, 6'2", 200-pounder out of Florida. He's a tackling machine. So I like what we have in this class thus far, but this list is going to continue to expand probably throughout this month as it's not only, camp season, but we have a ton of guys visiting, as I talked about on the previous stream where we shared the list there of 30-plus guys that are visiting here throughout the month of June, and excited about a lot of them. And keep our eyes on Zion Legree. If West Virginia can get him, that would be a massive addition. I talked about my wish list here in this 2026 class a lot, right? And Legend Bay being at the very top of it. But right below him now has got to be Zion Legree if West Virginia is going to get him into Morgantown for a visit. So I think that's a massive update here for this 2026 recruiting thing. So that's what I had as far as the recruiting updates in the 2026 class. Other than that, on the football side, just had a couple little news and notes here that I wanted to highlight. One of which, though, is pretty big. And guys, that is something that we've talked about on previous streams, the turf being changed at Mountaineer Field, right? Seems like someone snuck a picture and maybe leaked it on social media. Let's take a look here. Not exactly, can't get the full look of the end zones exactly, but you can see it there. The new logo at midfield, the new outlines, the new text with the, West Virginia typeface there that they have, their official 1 there in the end zone. So that is definitely similar, exactly kind of look like the rendering that we shared when we were talking about this, and look similar to the practice field that we got a video of. So now that pictures of it are floating around on social media, you got to think West Virginia will share their own on their official social media account soon, hopefully. But there's a little bit of a sneak peek for us maybe of what the new turf looks like at the stadium. I thought that was pretty cool that somebody shared that on social media. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And then also, of course, the weight room warriors are back, guys. The team's back together. A lot of the new, guys are on campus, which once they update the official university roster, we'll have roster updates out to you guys soon talking about all those guys that are being added, that were added in this most recent transfer portal window, and some of the young guys, the freshmen that are coming as well. And of course, weight room workouts have started. So weight room warriors are being posted by the university weekly, and we'll try and share those with you guys as they are. First ones of the off season here in the summer months: Kikora Tarnu, Chase Wilson, and Nate Gabriel. So we get a defensive back, a linebacker, and a defensive lineman as the weight room warriors here, shared by WVU. And then I'm going to get some of your all's comments and then hit a WVU basketball update. But before I do, it'd be wrong not to highlight WVU baseball yet again. Gave them their flowers on the last stream. Didn't know who they would face. It was Little Rock, who was the, Cinderella of this college baseball tournament, right? Losing record, barely got in, then beat LSU once, almost, had a lead in that game again, had a chance to beat them again. And then that super regional would have been in Morgantown, which would have been insane, right? But LSU pulls it off. Of course, they're always a really good baseball team, and that's who West Virginia will face. They'll travel to Baton Rouge to take them on. It'll be Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday if needed, as it's a 3-game series here in the super regionals. I think it's Saturday at 2 is the first game, if I'm not mistaken. So be on the lookout for that. West Virginia, one of the final 16 teams left here in the super regionals. They'll play a 3-game series against LSU. If they can make it out of there with 2 wins, they can find 2 wins here over in this next series. West Virginia will go to Omaha and be in the first College World Series for the first time in program history. And I think, me and my co-host Steven on the podcast here, we're talking about it in the past, through a text a little bit ago. And this is definitely the best season in WVU baseball history at this point. It's got to be, and let's hope the great run continues. And it's been a great run over the past 2 or 3 years. Back-to-back super regional appearances. Hopefully this time we can get it done and get a win here in this series against LSU. Now know who we're facing, but got to give them their flowers yet again before they take that on this weekend. So I wanted to do that. Now let me take a swig of my coffee, then I'll catch up on some of your all's comments. Appreciate you guys sticking with me for the WVU football recruiting updates, which I think are really exciting about the potential that West Virginia could be adding to this 2026 class, and an important prospect that they're throwing their hat into the ring and getting into the mix on with that blazing fast 4-star receiver there, Zion Legree. But appreciate you guys watching on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. If you're on Facebook or Twitch, be sure to come over to YouTube and subscribe here. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. That helps us out whether you're watching live or on the playback. Take a swig of my coffee, then I'll get some of your guys' comments that are in here with me live. Then we'll hit a WVU basketball transfer portal update before we wrap up. Oh, man, that hits. Nothing hits than that first sip when you poured a fresh cup of coffee. Oh, you got to love it. Got to love it, guys. I got my guy Matthew in here saying, let's go. What's up, Matthew? Good to see you, man. Appreciate that. Matthew says, if anybody watching this isn't subbed, then what are you doing? Hey, I appreciate that, Matthew. Good question, though, man. If you're not subbed, man, and if you're someone that wants to keep up with the WVU football news, you definitely should be. I'm going to let you know what's going on recruiting-wise, what's going on transfer portal-wise, what's going on roster-wise. I mean, and that's today's day and age, that's something that's big to be able to keep up with, because everything that's going on, there's so much movement with all those 3 things I just listed. You never hardly can tell who's on the roster, but if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be able to know. And as Matthew so elegantly puts it, appreciate that, Matthew. Let's see here. Drum Wolf says, I feel the need for speed. Hey, great pull, Drum Wolf. I like that. And also very fitting. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that at WVU here in the Rich Rod 2.0 era. Tried to bring a bunch of it in via the transfer portal this go round, and here in the high school ranks, they're going to be getting it in future recruiting classes. And definitely one of the fastest players they could bring in would be Zion Legree. And of course, another one of my favorites is Legend Bay. And if you guys can't tell, I'm a huge fan of speed as well. That's how I build my teams on the college football video game. Probably why both those guys are near at the top of my list now. Of course, the one we're talking about in this update, Zion Legree, and of course, quarterback Legend Bay that I've covered in 2 or 3 recruiting updates now in the past that hopefully West Virginia gets a commitment from in the near future. Would love to see that. That would be huge. Like I said, he's number 1 on my wish list. Legree not far behind now, though, but excited about this class moving forward. Let's see here. Matthew says, I sent that to Jonathan, and then he posted that. Hey, so either way, Matthew's a source on that one. Mountaineers headline, always doing a good job keeping us informed with some of the recruiting updates. Appreciate you, Matthew. I think you are running along with these players and kicking the power cables. Hey, Drill Wolf, yeah, I don't know. I guess I kept hitting my power cord down here from my monitor with my foot. The first time that's ever happened on the stream. Since I moved the new set around, maybe that's a new problem I'm encountering. I might have to change where I got the surge protector there. It's maybe a little bit too close to my foot, but yeah, definitely. You know, I got excited, and I was trying to run fast here in place, trying to be like Zion Legree, watching his highlights and stuff, and kicked my own monitor off. I was so excited there, moving so fast. It's a good one, Drummer. I like it. I like it. And as Matthew says here, stars really don't matter that much, to be honest. And yeah, as I've told you guys before, I completely agree with that. The best way that I like to determine it is course the eye test. Go watch their tape, watch their highlights yourself. That's one of the main things. But other than that, definitely look at who else is after them. What's their offer list looking like? Where do they rank in their state? Where do they rank nationally? Those type of things are, a more better determining factor to me than star rating necessarily. Not to say, hey, if we can get all the 4 stars in here we want, that's great as well. I'm all for that too. And definitely Legree's a really talented one. And you see, there's even a discrepancy there, even with the recruiting rankings. And that's why, yet again, star rankings don't matter too much to me, because you can be super high rated, top 250 player, 4-star recruit on Rivals, and then you go to 247 and they don't have you rated as highly quite yet. I think he'll move up those rankings as well. But, that's just another discrepancy between the star rating system there that you got to talk about as well. Matthew says, I wish we could have had a super regional in Morgantown. Me too, man. Pretty close. Little Rock got off to a nice lead in that game, then made a comeback, but LSU pulled away late. It was close. That would have been insane if they had a super regional in Morgantown. But the silver lining, and I've heard a few people mention this, hey, WVU baseball has been a good road team this season at least. So let's go into Baton Rouge, give them all we got, and try and win that thing for sure. Michelle Weintraub, appreciate you popping in. Says, can't wait for football season. Neither can I. Super excited about it. Getting so close now, just a couple more months till we get to fall camp. A lot of updates to get to throughout those months. Once we get these roster updates in and get these players enrolled on the roster, I'm going to do a position preview series kind of talking about each position. Just some fun stuff to look forward to as we lead up to fall camp. Try and always keep you guys up to date on some stuff that's coming in the future. So, those of you that aren't subscribed, that'll encourage you to want to subscribe to maybe see some of that. And those of you that are subscribed will kind of know what to look forward to. So always try and do that. And one more update to get to here before we wrap up. Appreciate you guys that chatted here live and I got to some of your all's comments there. I think we got them all covered for now, but you guys that are watching after the fact can share your thoughts in the comments there in the comment section on YouTube, and I'll try and respond to those after the fact. I appreciate those interactions as well. But as far as a quick WVU basketball portal update, we provided one yesterday talking about a new target, and we've also been trying to talk about the guys that are announcing their new destinations that are leaving the program. And I think one of those is probably the most beloved that left the program, right? And that's Offrey Neve, because how all the stuff he stuck it out through here for, finally did hit the portal and has committed to play at Oral Roberts. This coming from Ollie Reed Sports on social media, as he announced it on Instagram there. As you see the graphic there, Offrey Neve commits to Oral Roberts. So let's pull up our WVU basketball portal tracker that we've been using throughout the offseason here, just for a quick transfer portal update on the basketball side, which is just adding the destination for Offrey Neve, which now means we know the destination of all the former Mountaineers. Of course, Tucker DeVries, Indiana, Jonathan Powell to UNC, as we actually addressed earlier in the stream, funny enough, as we were talking about his brother Taj Powell, who's committed in the 2026 football class for the Mountaineers, KJ Tenner at Murray State, Amani Hansberry at Virginia Tech, Sincere Harris at Cincy, Offrey Neve at Oral Roberts, Jaden Stone at Missouri, Harris Elizavich at Northeastern, and of course, Abraham Oyedir withdrew from the portal and may be on the Mountaineers roster this upcoming season. We're waiting for official confirmation on that in the near future, but I think there's a great chance of that. So there's the destinations, with Offrey Neve being the most recent one. Funny, none of them followed Darren DeVries. I wonder why, except for his son. Just kidding, got to throw out a shot every now and again when I can at Mr. DeSleaze there. But nonetheless, those are the destinations. Of course, there's West Virginia's current transfer class as it stands currently. Still going to round it out with another probably 2 to 4 players. Of course, they have another couple freshmen coming in with Jaden Forsyth and DJ Thomas joining the transfers that you see listed there on screen. But also we had an update on the transfer target list with Ryan Cornish, a guard from Dartmouth. West Virginia is going after that has an extra year of eligibility because of a waiver, and he would be a talented addition. West Virginia needs another guard, need another big man. But I really like the roster they've put together in Coach Hodges' first season here. Just to give a brief transfer portal update on the basketball side here before we wrap up, wanted to discuss Offrey Neve because obviously he deserves, us reporting on his destination because he stuck it out and was loyal here for so long, and hopefully he has success at Oral Roberts. Would love to see that happen for Offrey. And excited to see how West Virginia rounds out the roster on the basketball side, and we'll bring you future transfer portal updates as that roster does round out here on the Country Roads webcast, just like we'll continue these recruiting updates throughout the summer leading up into fall camp here for WVU football. But we get to your all's comments one more time before we wrap up, and then we will call it a show here for the June 3rd stream. Clint Moses says baseball, big win last night. That Oregon State there, Clint Moses? Is that what you got there? You guys are in there, right? I feel you, Clint. I feel you, man. Hey, super regional stuff. Let's see. Following Coach Barnett over. Oh, that's right. Barnett, who was on the staff under DeVries, got that job at Oral Roberts. I forgot about that. Corey Barnett, I think his first name Corey. Not 100% sure. I think that's what it was. But yeah, following him over. That's also a good point there. He's either playing for us or not playing for at all. Those are his only options. DeSleaze, Drumwolf says, hey, yeah, that's just what we kind of call him, on this show for the most part. Hey, good to see you in here as well, Mountaineer with Kenny. Be sure to go back, rewind, catch the stream from the beginning. Got some really exciting updates on some prospects in the 2026 football class. Really super fast 4-star receiver. Would love to see West Virginia get. Going to be some other really highly, rated programs going after him. They're going to have to fend off to be able to get him, but reportedly maybe coming in on visit, which is huge. So there it is, guys. The football recruiting updates I wanted to get to in this stream and the brief transfer portal updates, plus some of your all's awesome questions and comments as always. And like I said, you guys that watch this after the fact on a replay can share your questions, comments in the comment section. I'll get to some of those there. And you can always help by hitting that thumbs up button, whether you watch live or on a playback. Facebook or Twitch watchers, be sure to come over to the YouTube and subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed and you're a Mountaineer fan, just do it to stay up to date on WVU football and WVU basketball news. We'll continue to bring you here on the Country Roads webcast. And you guys that listen to this after the fact on the audio side there, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, we appreciate that. And if you leave us a rating, that helps us out there on the audio side. With that being said, I'll be back to chat with you guys here in the near future, talk some more WVU football and basketball, and hopefully some more baseball as well. Hopefully they continue to win here in the Super Regional. One more shout out to them for making it that far, and hopefully we get to see them in the College World Series. But that's all I got for today. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.